Hey, Luke in Arizona. Thanks for waiting.
No problem.
It says here your question is, why am I not a nihilist? Or I suppose that's for both of us.
Yes. If atheism is about a lack of belief, how come you're not nihilists?
I am a nihilist depending on the definition, in the sense that I don't believe there's some intrinsic purpose or meaning to the universe. I believe that meaning is something that, and meaning and purpose is something we imbue the universe with. Just like I don't believe there's an externally imposed plan for my life, but that doesn't mean I don't have a plan for my life. So in the weak or soft sense of nihilist, in the sense that I don't believe there's some intrinsic universal purpose, I am. I'm not a nihilist in the fatalistic sense of none of this matters, because I recognize it matters to me.
So you're non-nihilist because you don't want to be true?
I don't think that's remotely what I said. We don't want what to be true.
Well, if lack of belief is what atheism is, how come you're not a fatal nihilist?
We lack belief in gods. We believe in all sorts of things.
Yeah.
On the basis of what?
Sorry, what?
On the basis of what?
On the basis of evidence that, granted, I don't have a solution for the problem of hard solipsism, but I'm convinced that there are other minds, because it would be monumentally arrogant of me to assume that I am, in fact, the only mind. And so because there are other humans that I interact with, and because I have feelings and I have thoughts about things, and things matter in value to me, and other humans, there are things that Don tells me matter to him. There are things my girlfriend tells me matter to her. And so recognizing that this is the world that I am experiencing, things matter to me. It doesn't matter to me if the universe has some intrinsic meaning or purpose for my life, or if there's a God who has an intrinsic meaning or purpose for my life. I have a meaning and purpose for my life, and that's enough. What is it that you think I don't want to be true, or that I'm believing that?
So you're a subjectivist, a moral subjectivist.
Well, how did we get to morality? I mean, it's like you're, hang on. It's like you're calling in, you ask about a specific philosophical concept, which is often easily confused. The fatalistic notion of nihilism is one that I don't share. But the nihilism is a simple thing, that the universe doesn't have an intrinsic meaning or purpose in my life. And I explain all of that. And then the first words out of your mouth is that you just believe it because you don't want it to be true. And when I ask for clarification on that, you immediately jump to, so you're a moral subjectivist. That has nothing at all to do with anything I just described. And it's not an answer to my question.
Because it's valuable to you, therefore it's a subjective.
Maybe so.
No. I want to let him actually say something that's useful, that pertains to what we were discussing.
Well, it's valuable to you, and only because you like it, therefore it's subjective.
Yes, as I noted, the things that I value are subjective. But that's not, we weren't talking about morality.
But you're making a value judgment.
Yes, I'm making value judgments about what I value. But that's not, first of all, that's not, we weren't discussing morality. And subjective morality is a very specific and confusing subject as well, which is that whatever a particular society says is moral. And that's not what my position is. And so you're conflating my acknowledgement of my nihilism in a weak sense, and then wanting to derail to subjective morality when the two aren't necessarily connected, without acknowledging that I answered your question or anything else, or even trying to stay on topic. So it seems like, Luke, you're calling in as if you found what you think is some gotcha. And since we started with gotcha questions, bring it on. Give us the gotchas.
So light nihilism doesn't reinforce your moral subjectivism.
So
I don't think they have much to do with each other.
What we use as a foundation for morality, which I will go with, along with Sam Harris and a number of others, well-being. There's no objective, intrinsic requirement that be a foundation for morality. It is a subjective assessment that this is what we should be going for. Once you have that as the goal, here's where I'm going to define morality as well-being, and yes, it's not completely defined, and that is a subjective determination. But after that, I can make objective assessments about actions to determine if the consequences of those actions further the goal. The goal may be ultimately subjective. The thing is, it doesn't matter whether it's subjective or arbitrary. Just like game chess, which I've used as an example over and over again. Ultimately, the rules of the game are arbitrary. We invented the rules of the game. And the goal of the game is to not lose. That's subjective. And so what you're basically doing is I'm talking about how we can play a game of chess, and you're coming in saying, what if I don't care about winning about chess? It's just your subjective opinion. Yes, I'm talking about chess, and I'm presuming that most of the people I'm talking to, do you care about human well-being? Do you care about the well-beings of society? Do you care about finding out what sort of things make society better and what sort of things detract from it? What sort of things make our lives better? Do you care about that?
As a Christian, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not a Christian and I care about it. Why would you as a Christian care about it when the Bible says that this life is like dirty rags and that the real life is the one that starts after we die? You don't have a foundation to care about human interactions at all.
Because I'm obligated to?
No, you're not. You are not obligated to do anything according to the Bible except to represent Jesus and tell people about the future and to allow the Holy Spirit to use you to guide them to determine who will be saved to the real life and who will be saved to eternal damnation. There's nothing about human concerns. Care not, take no concern for the lilies. Take no thought of tomorrow. There's nothing humanistic about Christianity at all. It is a death cult waiting for the real life to start. My view says, you know what? I think this life matters, and it seems to matter. And by the way, I think it matters to Christians too. I'm just saying you don't necessarily have a biblical foundation for it because that's not the goal. The goal in Christianity is to get to heaven to spend eternity with the Father. That is the goal, right?
And yeah, because that involves living a righteous life.
No, living a righteous life is not the path to salvation. Where did you get that?
When you're saved, you're commanded to live a righteous life.
To live a righteous life when you're saved. But it's salvation that determines whether or not you go to heaven, right?
Right.
Is salvation determined by works?
No.
No. And yet my view is focused on works. Doing the things in life that make life better because I'm focused on this life that we're sharing, that we care about. The living a righteous life, according to most modern Christian denominations, is living in accordance with what God wants you to do, specifically with the focus of becoming, God is going to save by grace through, or by faith through grace, whoever he determines. Like you have no idea who's going to be saved, do you?
Oh, I just know I'm saved. That's all I'm privy to.
How do you know you're saved? Isn't God the only one that knows that? What if God decides not to save you?
Well, then he would let me know.
How do you know that?
The confidence I have in him.
You have confidence in him, but, does he talk to you?
No.
Okay, so has he ever let you know anything?
Yes.
How does he let you know if he doesn't talk to you?
It was a spiritual experience of realization.
Okay, you say it's a spiritual experience of realization. How do you tell the difference between your spiritual experience of realization and somebody else's delusion?
I love to compare and contrast.
Okay, compare and contrast. Why are there over 1,000 denominations of Christianity all claiming to get revelations from God that don't agree?
30,000.
I'll just stick with over.
Individual differences?
Individual differences. And yet they disagree on salvation. They disagree on the character of Jesus. They disagree on whether or not Jesus was real. Yeah. And yet, let me line up here. I used to be a Christian. We'll put you and me and 5 other Christians in the room, and we'll start asking, what's God's take on things? Do you think we're all going to get consistent answers?
Maybe, maybe not.
Okay, maybe not. But if the answer is maybe not, then isn't that an admission that God isn't clearly communicating with people? If God is there to guarantee and provide this certainty that you're going to heaven, what if God told one of the others that you're not?
I'd like to know why.
I would like to know why too. So why doesn't God come down and clear this up instead of having theists call in to talk about whether or not an atheist has any reason to care about the universe when clearly we all do? Isn't it completely obvious that as long as you and I are stuck on this planet, irrespective of your God or your belief in God, you and I benefit from making this world better, right?
But you openly said that your foundational assumption is subjective.
Yes, making the world better is subjective to care about, but what makes the world better is not subjective.
But is that been proven to be true? Am I obligated to do so?
No, hang on. You're not obligated to do anything, not even by your religion or your God. You're commanded to do stuff, but you are free to do whatever you want, right?
But I thought we were talking about what we should do.
Yes, we are. And if we agree, if you and I agree that we want to have a better world, and we begin by defining in places and discovering what, so you and I are physical beings in a physical universe, right?
Yes, technically.
Okay, and technically, the laws of this universe, the physical facts about this universe dictate whether or not something is in our best interest or not. Like, it's a physical fact that me lopping off Don's head is not in his best interest right now, given everything, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that drinking battery acid is worse for us than drinking apple juice.
Yes.
And so let's just talk about physical health for a second, because this is directly analogous. So there's nothing in the universe that requires us to be healthy or to care about being healthy, right? We can eat whatever we want. I can give myself diabetes. I can be a vegan or not a vegan. There's nothing about the universe that requires us to care about health, but we care about health, don't we?
Right.
And health is not particularly well defined, and it will vary a little bit. Some things that are going to be healthy for me aren't going to be healthy for Don, and vice versa, because while we're similar, we're not identical. Now, if it's subjective for us to care about health, does that make facts about health subjective?
Yes.
No. Battery acid is bad for you, worse for you than apple juice. You already acknowledge that. That's not about a preference.
As a Christian.
No, it's not as a Christian. This is just a scientific fact.
No, that's presuming the value of the action.
No, it's not. I'm talking about physical health, and you already acknowledged that drinking battery acid is worse than drinking apple juice for your physical health, right?
Yeah.
That is a fact. That is an objective fact about human beings generally.
Presuming that physical health is good.
Right. Okay, I don't know why you keep trying to avoid this, because I'm in agreement with that. I said that, and I got you to agree. There's nothing that requires us to care about physical health, but
we should.
But no, if you and I both care about physical health, then we can discover objective truths about physical health that are non-subjective. It's not a matter of opinion about whether or not you will be healthier if you drink battery acid than if you drink apple juice.
If the foundation is subjective, the answers are subjective.
Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong.
Well, why?
And I don't know why this is so difficult, because you and I would agree that whether or not there's a God, there are physical facts about human beings that dictate that drinking battery acid is less conducive to your health than drinking apple juice, generally speaking. That is a fact.
Presuming that...
No, it's not presuming anything. It is a physical fact about the human condition.
Presuming that health is good, yes.
No, it's not presuming that health is good.
Yeah, but
it's not. No, stop. Stop. It's not. You. I don't know why this is. Let me go back to my chess analogy, because maybe this will clear it up, because now we are over time. I'm going to tie the chess to the health. There is no requirement that we care about winning or not losing the game of chess. But if we agree that you and I agree that we do not want to lose a game of chess, then there are objectively good moves and objectively bad moves with respect to that goal of not losing chess, correct?
Yes.
And if you and I agree that we care about a healthy physical human being, there are objective facts about what is conducive towards health and what is not, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And now the only issue is, do we both agree about not losing the game? Do we both agree about physical health? I think that we probably do. Am I correct?
Where'd the chessboard come from?
We made up the chessboard. Why can you not
answer?
Analogy. I just hand-walked you down a rose... Shut up. I just hand-walked you down a rose garden path to show the distinction between we subjectively care about not losing the game, and once we agree on that, there are objective facts. We subjectively care about human health, and after we agree on it, that there are certain facts. And yet, as soon as your brain realizes where this is going, you go to something batshit like, where did the chessboard come from? That's irrelevant. That's the whole point. Chess can be completely...
That's your analogy.
Goodbye. That's the whole point. We can make up a game. We can invent a chessboard. We can invent the pieces. We can make all the rules about the game. It can be completely arbitrary, completely subjective. We've created a game. But once we agree that we don't want to lose that game, now we can begin to assess things. That analogy is there because it's pretty simple. And my caller completely understood it so well that once it was tied from the chess game to physical health, which he also had to acknowledge, he had to keep going back to, why do we care about health? Why? No, it doesn't matter. If we both agree that we care about health, if we both agree that we care about the chess game, there are objective facts to discover. The same thing is true if you and I agree about we would like to have a better world. Now, does that mean we know everything about what a better world looks like? No, but we don't know everything about what health looks like. Does that mean that because there's variations between human beings, that there aren't going to be variations in understanding about what a better world is? Clearly, just in the United States, Democrats and Republicans often disagree on what a better world looks like, and yet they both think they want to get to a better world. And the solution for that is to talk to people and say, okay, what about your view leads to a better world? And when you can find out that somebody's internal model of a better world is actually in conflict, that the thing that they think would make the world better, like if we all had more money, if you can show that there's a problem where all of us having more money actually doesn't lead to what they think is a better world, now you've shown a problem with their definition of better. And we've learned something. Now we've learned we can adjust what our definition of better is. Just in the same way that, hey, I'd like to not lose this chess game. I think this move is better. We can analyze that move, and chess isn't solved, which is why we keep playing it. And we can say, no, actually that move that we thought was really good, turns out there's a response to that, and it leads to this. And so somebody can think that their view is better, or they think that their view leads to a better world, and they can be wrong. And this is why there's a difference between subjective morality, which is whatever's right or wrong is just defined by our society, and instead saying a subjective foundation of well-being leads to us exploring and discovering the facts about the universe. And we can be wrong about what our view of a better world is. But if we truly have a view of a better world in place, then we are now able to correct our misunderstandings about that. So when you call in and say, why aren't you a nihilist? And I say, I am. And I give two distinct definitions of nihilism to show that I am, but I'm not a fatalist. I don't think that there's pointlessness. I don't need the universe to have a meaning and purpose for my life to have a meaning and purpose. I don't need the universe to have some God or objective intrinsic standard of morality. Not only is there no evidence that that is actually true, but it wouldn't get us anywhere. There is no problem in a secular moral system that is in any way solved by pointing to a God. Because at the end of the day, it's just your subjective assessment that your view of God is the better way. It's just a bald-ass assertion that God is the foundation of morality, as if a God telling someone to kill their child is demonstration of immorality. Well, God knows and understands better than us. He can see farther than us. Fuck him. If he made us so that we have limited sight and we operate within that limited sight and we have the goal of a better world, how dare you come in and tell me that I'm somehow on inferior foundation when your foundation does not care about the one and only life we know we're going to get, and instead focuses on trying to attain some other afterlife that you have no control over, no evidence for, and no demonstration that the being that you're appealing to exists or gives a rat's ass about anything. You have taken the entirety of the human experience, everything you are ever going to love, every time you've had sex, every time you've had a great meal, every time you've listened to wonderful music, every piece of art you discovered, every new fact you've ever learned about the universe, and all of it gets scrunched down into a tiny little crappy tinfoil ball to get tossed aside because you want there to be this magical land. And you want to toss out everything that human beings have learned about how to live a better life because you're too afraid and too lazy to say, you know what? This ancient book that keeps telling me stories, that lets me be absolutely convinced I'm going to heaven, even though I have to acknowledge when under pressure, I don't actually know because we don't have any access to that, that there's a God who won't do a damn thing to clear up any of this confusion, that system is somehow superior. Oh, all right, there's part of my debate for tomorrow. It's crap. We are way over time. I want to thank all the people, the 5 people who showed up over there on the other side of the glass who are going to have loads of food to eat. Reminder that as soon as we're done, if not already, Nonprofits is starting right now. And that we actually set a new viewer record for live viewers today because evidently everybody is home and not out doing stuff. So thank you, coronavirus, for 6,314 live viewers for the Atheist Experience.